A military couple makes the perfect pair.
She had like this smile that would light up a room.
He was handsome, and so I could see them being drawn together.
Missed you.
I missed you too.
They were always happy. They were soulmates.
But the higher they climb in the ranks of love,
There were things that he was either omitting or things he was lying about.
What the hell is all this?
Okay, Marge, calm down.
No one knows what goes on behind closed doors.
the farther they crash.
She did have a pretty good temper at times. If he was gonna hit her and she wants to defend herself, she's gonna swing back.
I had no idea that it was going to be a murder case. That never crossed my mind.
Love may be blind and marriage bliss, but divorce is murder. Marjorie Brown is on top of the world. Just 34 years old, she's at the pinnacle of her military career.
She loved people and she loved to help them. And that's part of the reason she went to the military. She was on orders consistently, and she went from E2, which is basically your beginning in the military, to Sergeant First Class in about 10 years. And Sergeant First Class is E7.
She was proud that day. The accomplishment of making E7 is not easy. I think she was really on a pace with the National Guard to run through the entire rank and make it all the way.
Everything was going perfectly. She was loving life. Everything was moving right along on schedule. She was doing everything she had set out to do.
As does Staff Sergeant Roger Holland. Also 34, Roger is stationed at the same base as Marjorie, but they haven't crossed paths until now.
As far as when he came in the military, he knew his job. He knew how to lead troops.
I'll see you later. Yeah, I'll see you in a bit.
Congratulations, sweetheart.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Pop. Okay.
Marjorie's in a medical unit, and Roger's a fighter. Both are well respected in their fields, and quickly by one another.
First class sergeant. I'm impressed.
Are you here at the base?
I'm hoping to get to E7 myself. I guess you're kind of busy with your family right now?
I think they're about ready to call it a night, honestly.
Are you?
Depends.
Depends if you can find me later.
Okay.
She was a very beautiful woman, very intelligent. He was handsome, and so I could see them being drawn together.
She had like this smile that would light up a room. She had such spirit and drive. There was nothing she couldn't do. She could have been a model. She had the perfect little body. She could have walked the runway.
Just thought I'd say hello.
Well, don't be shy. Come on in. You're not married or anything, right?
Divorced. No kids.
Me too.
Oh. So that's my dad and my stepmom.
They both hail from tight-knit small towns. Marjorie from Minnesota and Roger from Missouri.
Oh, that's my other brother. He passed 18 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was hit by a train.
Margie has always been strong. We lost my brother in 1992. Margie and I would stay in contact no matter where we were.
That brought me and Jimmy closer together, so.
Tell me more about Jimmy.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Roger was just an engaging person. He would not only speak about his own accomplishments, but he would listen to other people's accomplishments, like he was truly interested in them. He enjoyed conversations with people and engaging and connecting with them, and he was an easy person to get to know. He was easy to be around.
Roger soon begins spending time with Marjorie's family, especially her brother Jimmy.
Trips.
A full house.
They would play cards on the patio in the back and have their drinks and enjoy each other. They were always happy. They were soulmates.
He seemed like a very nice guy, very clean cut. Of course, you got to be pretty much clean cut in the military. They were just lovey-dovey the whole time. We just thought, hey, this is a match made in heaven, really, is what we could see from the outside.
My turn to excuse myself. Little girl's room.
They were very affectionate with each other. If she went to the bathroom, he would get up from the table, wait for her by the bathroom door, walk her back to the table, like he was escorting her, making sure that she was okay. The chivalry to the cute extreme.
Cute and also protective.
I think they had in common the fact that they had struggled in previous relationships.
What was that about?
Roger's goal is to be the opposite of Timothy.
Timothy, Marjorie's ex-boyfriend, was abusive.
How am I doing so far?
Let's first see how good you are at poker.
Deal him up?
I don't know if it was one-sided or two-sided, but there was some domestic violence going on in that relationship.
Roger and Marjorie's courtship is fast and furious, but it's interrupted by long absences. She spends months overseas on missions, training to be an intelligence operative.
She would check out the other Army bases. I remember she got to go to Italy, to Korea too, and Germany.
But whenever she returns to Texas, it's into the arms of the ever-patient and attentive Roger.
Missed you.
I missed you too.
Who also climbs in the ranks, reaching the same level as Marjorie.
She was allowed to pin his Sergeant First Class rank on him, which is normally done by an officer.
I think Margie was looking for somebody who had like the same beliefs in her as she does, like the same things she liked to do. Like she was always adventurous. She had told me how wonderful he was for her, and he was so sweet. He catered to her all the time. Anything she needed, he would get for her.
Less than a year after they meet, Marjorie and Roger elope.
And then all of a sudden, they were going out on a cruise to get married.
They didn't want a family wedding. She been there, done that.
I think they just enjoyed doing things that were spontaneous. This was away from the usual way of doing things, just like the red wedding dress.
When the newlyweds return to Texas, they briefly live with Marjorie's brother as they wait for their next assignment.
So how much did that cruise set us back?
Just working that out now.
Now that they're married, Roger and Marjorie combine their finances.
I think she got to a trust with Roger to where she passed that off and trusted him to take care of the bills and do the bills.
Do you guys have a joint account already?
Accounts, actually.
I was told that they were all in Margie's name because she had the credit. And I don't know why he didn't have any credit.
It had to do with his ex-wife. He was not wanting his ex-wife to have access to anything that he had jointly with Margie.
Besides which, money is not tight.
When they would get cars or they would get the motorcycles, it was always in Margie's name.
They drove out to California. They drove to Arizona to visit Ron's mom and his sister and her husband and stayed a while with them. They had vacations. They had cruises. I can't say I blame them any. If I had extra money, I'd be traveling too.
They were both E7s, making a ton of money. They had no children at the time, so they had nobody else to spend their money on except for themselves.
But strangely, about a year after getting married, something doesn't add up.
Hey, Jimmy. I got a favor to ask you. I was wondering if you could keep it quiet from your sis.
Roger came to me and he asked for $6,000 in a loan. And he said, don't tell Margie. I don't want her to know. I would get in trouble for asking you. He never told me what it was for. I didn't ask what it was for.
Hey, of course, man. Your family.
I gave him the loan because I trusted him. He was with my sister.
Psychotherapist Stacy Kaiser and forensic psychologist Brian Russell see cause for concern.
The fact that Roger is hiding a secret from Marjorie is a huge red flag. And the fact that he aligned with her brother to do it is even worse. I think the reason that he's doing it is because he's trying to protect her from the fact that he's been spending money. But that's not the kind of protection she needs, because without knowing that they're in a financial dilemma, she isn't able to help fix it.
Either Roger wants to buy something that he knows Marjorie would not be okay with,
Secondly, he could be wanting to buy something for Marjorie that he knows Marjorie will be happy with. That if he has to borrow for it, then that suggests to me that the couple's finances can't really handle this purchase. It's deeply concerning to me because it suggests to me that there are things that Roger believes he can't or doesn't want to share with Marjorie.
Hey guys, what's going on?
We'll be right in.
Okay.
But when the truth comes out, there will be hell to pay.
Margie probably went a little bit crazy. She can go from 0 to 60.
Just as newlyweds Roger and Marjorie Holland settle into married life together, Roger secretly borrows $6,000 from his brother-in-law, Jimmy.
And I thought, you know, I would get repaid.
Before Roger has the chance to pay Jimmy back, he and Marjorie get amazing news.
Our first deployment as husband and wife. Djibouti.
Africa.
She was all for the deployment. She loved helping people. That was her goal.
Our task over in the Horn of Africa was to help train their military.
For Marge? Marge, you ready?
Yes.
The work is demanding and sometimes dangerous.
Here you go, Marge. All right, guys. 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, Marge.
She would get in there with the rest of the guys, and she was an excellent marksman. She did not have to be told what to do.
Oh, yes! She got you.
Next time I'll be you, though. All right, guys, time to go.
While the risk level in Djibouti is high, so too is the potential for adventure.
We actually got the chance to go dive with the whale sharks. As far as a couple, they would be holding hands together while they were diving. That goes to say that no one knows what goes on behind closed doors.
With their grand adventure behind them, the couple set sail on another cruise and return with some exciting news.
She was pregnant after the cruise. They wanted to have kids. They wanted to have a family. And that was 100% the cruise was for making a baby.
I think they were both at an age where it's time to start our family, and we were excited for them. They talked about Mama Bear and Papa Bear, and this was going to be Baby Bear.
Even though she wanted to continue doing her schooling, she wanted children, and she was afraid she was going to get too old.
We have something for you.
The ultrasound they took, they gave us a picture.
Really?
And that was really neat. And so it was going to be a granddaughter.
We're calling her Olivia.
I think that was the highlight of their life at that point, was making sure that that's their focus every day.
It's now time to put the adventures on hold and create a real stable home, ideally close to family.
It was only about 15, 20 miles from where we lived, so it was easy access to be able to go see them.
It's a dream come true.
You see the refrigerator every day, and you zoom right in on that little baby that's growing, little Baby Bear.
They were making considerable preparations for the baby.
Check this out. This is the Harley of baby wheels.
Only the best for Baby Bear.
You like it?
Yeah. Look what I got. Ta-da!
You got great taste.
$20,000 or more for a baby that they literally just found out about.
They also load up on toys for themselves.
In Margie's name again, they got an Audi and a brand new Jeep.
There was guns laying out throughout the residence, which were very high-end, very nice, semi-automatic weapons. There was handguns, there was rifles, a good arsenal of weapons that they kept for themselves.
Marjorie gives up her military career to pursue medical school and motherhood. while Roger finds a high-paying private sector job.
The next best thing to breakfast in bed, a homemade lunch.
Thanks, honey.
He was providing security around a nuclear power plant.
That's great, babe. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too?
He said that job brought in about $140,000 to $150,000 a year.
Hey, hon.
Yeah?
Did you get the mail today?
No. I guess it's late. But don't you be.
They had income from the severance from the military once they were discharged from the military.
To the outside world, this couple looked like a very successful, young, professional, or working couple. So they were living a life where they had seemingly plenty of money and no concerns with any of their finances, and were very successful.
But something doesn't sit right with Marjorie's brother, Jimmy. It's been well over a year, and Roger still hasn't paid him back the $6,000.
I said, are you going to make a payment? Are you going to send me some money? And he's like, next paycheck, next, I'll get to you, but never received a dime.
And as the weeks go by, it's not just Jimmy who's asking questions about money.
The finances for the couple was completely handled by Roger. But Marjorie had received some type of late payment notice directed specifically to her.
When I look at this dilemma that Marjorie is in, it occurs to me that she has done what I see a lot of spouses do in a marriage, which is they trust their partner completely with the finances. And so here she gets this past due notice and she discovers, wait a minute, things aren't getting paid. And she's enraged with him.
She strikes me as the kind of a woman who probably is going to not just sit back and see what happens, but is going to bring that up to Roger and have a come to Jesus with him about it. That's going to put Roger in a very defensive posture because he's going to be found out. He's going to be busted. And it'll be interesting to see whether he cops to it and sits down with her and agrees that they need to get a plan to get back to financial stability, or whether he denies, deflects, blames her.
Marjorie is pissed.
She did have a pretty good temper at times. If you really made her mad, she was hard to deal with at times when you did that.
The discovery prompted some arguments and some discussions.
And it's only the beginning.
It makes everything that they had seem like a charade. How much of it was actually true?
If you push her, then she's gonna get really dramatic.
Is everything okay?
Marjorie Holland suspects her husband Roger is lying to her about their finances, and she wants to get to the bottom of it.
She was trying to piece together why suddenly this man that had told her that they were fine and that he had income coming in, they were in debt, and debt that she wasn't even aware that they had.
In the back of the Jeep, there was a satchel of mail.
It's weeks and weeks of letters and late notices.
A lot of their accounts were joint accounts that had both of their names on it. Margie saw overdraft notices and late payment notices that were directed to her on accounts that she didn't open or she wasn't aware of.
Her mail was kept from her. She didn't know any of that until she was putting things together.
What the hell is all this?
Okay, Marge, calm down. This is just a little debt, okay? I've paid most of these bills off, and I'm gonna pay the rest next week on my next check, okay? It's under control.
The response, it was, don't worry, I'll take care of it, honey. My mistake. I'll fix it right away. You'll see.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because I didn't want you to worry. Look, we've got the baby and everything. This is under control. I got this.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's good, honestly.
That was the one thing that I admired about Roger, was the fact that he, of all of the boyfriends or men that she had had in her life, seemed to be the one that could calm her down when she got to that point, well, reaching for that emergency, the red button.
Look, you should call it a night, okay, baby?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, this whole first trimester business, I feel like I've been hit by a truck.
Yes, I bet, but listen to me. I'm gonna take care of you and Olivia, okay? It's gonna be fine.
She believed there was a plan. She believed that her husband was telling her the truth.
But days later, something still seems off.
I love you.
See you tonight.
So every day, Roger would portray that he was going to work. He would get up, he would go off and go out.
He was just hanging out at local restaurants and coffee houses.
He was traveling around the Twin Cities, running errands and killing time until he could go back home and claim he put in a full day's work.
He would be gone for X amount of hours and come back, and he would text during the day like he was at work. He would do everything like he had a job. But there was never a job.
Oh, I'm sure she probably just about went through the roof. And at that point, it would probably bring her temper out pretty good.
I believe any one of us, including her, would have been angry, would have probably blown a gasket.
At best, Roger is behaving in an extremely cowardly way. At worst, he's making me worried about Marjorie because they're still spending money, but no money's coming in. So I'm worried as I wonder how Roger thinks this is going to end.
What Roger's done at this point is he's really trapped himself. Either Marjorie's going to find out or he's going to have to tell her. And one of the things we know about people who end up trapped in that way is they begin to panic and they begin to do things without thinking clearly. And so I'm worried about how things are going to escalate in this marriage.
With being lied to, with having your credit smeared to no end, with hiding the person that you love so much that you married to go behind your back is deplorable.
So, you're a barista now.
Margie probably went a little bit crazy. If you push her, then she's gonna get really dramatic.
I saw you at the coffee shop.
Marge, the job fell through. I didn't want to let you down, okay?
Oh, it is way too late for that. You are going to make this right, or else!
At the end, she knew she couldn't back down anymore. She knew it had gone beyond. When she learned the true depth of what was going on, she knew she had to get out.
The next few days are tense, and Marjorie's parents witness that tension firsthand.
You should probably fold.
Oh, no, he's got nothing.
I'm going to call. Sorry, Sergeant. Full house.
I'm so bad at bluffing.
Sure you are.
Excuse me. Marge, what's going on? You're being obnoxious.
Yeah? Well, you're being a big liar.
They had an argument.
Marge.
And Ron and I were like, what's going on?
We're getting a divorce.
Her temper probably showed up, and he probably got really nervous at that point because he should be.
Get out. Now!
She's gonna get upset with you. She can go from 0 to 60.
Yeah, take a walk or something.
But Marjorie's temper is the least of this couple's problems.
There was something that told me that it wasn't a classic medical.
They are checking for vitals. They cannot find any vitals.
"14-week pregnant Marjorie Holland is furious with husband Roger for deceiving her, for lying about having a job and running the couple deep into debt, while Roger is scared of his wife's temper.
I don't understand.
What about the baby? Raising a child alone? Just think about it, okay?
There was a series of text messages where she led him probably to believe that she was going to give him a chance to fix it. And she talked about how, okay, we'll see what you can do. Eventually, it all went back to her disbelief that he could get her to this point.
When I think about the magnitude of the deceit that has happened to Marjorie, I really have to wonder who's going to be the first to explode. Roger realizing that the clock is ticking and that this facade cannot be maintained indefinitely, it's totally unsustainable, or Marjorie because she knows now how badly he has betrayed her trust.
The hopeful side of me says that Roger and Marjorie could possibly come together. Roger could step up, behave like he's supposed to, do what he's supposed to. But the truth is that when I look at Roger and I see what a mess he has made of everything and how many lies have been told and how much betrayal has been involved, I find it hard to believe that he would be able to pull that off. One of the factors that has to be weighing most heavily on Marjorie is the fact that she is carrying Roger's baby. And what will this mean for this unborn child should she bring it into the world? Here it is that they have these horrible financial problems right now. She has married somebody who is at the top level of liars. And so what is going to become of this child and her relationship with the father? And so if I'm her, I have to be trying to figure out a way that I can have an exit strategy while most worrying about this unborn life.
Ma, I think I'm coming to stay.
Marjorie has had it. She's ready to leave Roger, but he manages to find a solution just in the nick of time.
I gotta go, Mom.
Marge, I got some news. Okay. It's good news, okay? I got a job offer.
Yeah.
Listen, it's in Texas, near Jimmy. It's a great job. Okay, you gotta trust me on this one, okay? Please?
He had made some contacts through his work in the service while he was in the military, that he had used those contacts in order to obtain this security job for a corporation in Texas.
We're gonna get through this. Okay, trust me.
Okay.
Okay.
They were going to move back here together, and they had me looking for houses down here.
Roger and Marjorie will never see that house.
Victim is unconscious at the bottom of the stairs.
When the dispatcher put it out, there was something in the dispatcher's voice that told me this call was different and that it wasn't a classic medical. Something didn't sound right. There were officers already working to try and revive Marjorie.
She is unresponsive. She is not moving. They are checking for vitals. They cannot find any vitals, and they are continuing CPR efforts.
We worked fairly quickly to move Roger away from Margie's body because he didn't need to see the life-saving efforts that were going on.
Is she gonna be okay?
Anytime we have a situation where we're trying life-saving efforts and there's family members around, we want them to just move away.
As paramedics rush Marjorie to the hospital, police look to Roger for information.
Just start at the beginning. Okay. She was really hungry this morning, okay? She was starved, so I went out to get her some food.
I want a burrito. A big one.
Burrito? What are we having, triplets?
Oh, hearty har.
All right, I'll get you that.
Get out of here.
While he was gone, he texted with her.
She had sent him off to a restaurant that wasn't open for breakfast. So she texted saying switch it to another fast food restaurant for breakfast. And so he rerouted himself, picked up the food that she wanted, and came back to the house.
Then I get home, and I saw her. She's at the bottom of the stairs. Hey, Marge, got the food. Marge.
His explanation was she had tripped and fallen down the stairs.
It looks like a tragic accident, and Roger's breakfast story checks out.
He had receipts that showed us he had actually purchased food. He had a bag of food and some drinks at the location that were now spilled around where she was found, which looks exactly correct.
I don't understand. I don't understand what happened, okay? We were texting the whole time.
He had shown me his cell phone in order to prove that he was out of the house and that he was texting with her. I said to him that this timeline that you're providing with these text messages is very important.
Could I hold on to this?
No problem.
It is legal for me to seize that phone because it's movable property that's easily damaged, destroyed, or altered.
Roger heads to the hospital, where family members begin to gather.
We treated him as a family member.
Can I use my phone for a minute? I gotta call family.
Arrangements were made to escort him to the hospital. We made sure it was not in a marked police car. He was not under arrest. We were just simply helping him get from point A to point B.
Hi, Barb.
That was a day. I was at work. Roger called me. He said, Margie, something's wrong. Margie's heart stopped. I did CPR. We're on our way to the hospital.
I'll call you when I get there.
And I prayed all the way. And I kept praying with Roger because he's our son. And I just wanted them to try and save her, to save the baby.
And when I got into the hospital, I walked past where Margie was. I could see her laying there. But my wife wouldn't let me go into that room.
Marjorie is pronounced dead, along with the baby.
Roughly 10:30, I got the phone call from my dad saying, your sister's dead. You need to get to Minnesota immediately. I dropped the phone and was in shock.
Call, text, call, text, call, text, back and forth. Never got an answer. So I finally called our first sergeant, and he informed me that Marjorie had passed away.
Thanks for telling me, sir.
I began crying uncontrollably.
I was walking down the hallway with Roger to the room and holding his hand and telling the police officers, don't let him go home because there's guns all over the place.
Thank you.
My concerns for him was I just thought mentally he wasn't going to be able to handle this because Margie was his strength, just like he was hers. At that point, Roger holds out his hand and he says, Olivia was only this big.
Everybody at that point was saying pregnancy death, and that's what we all assumed.
Meanwhile, the investigation into the accident continues. Police look at Roger's movements.
There's corroboration for his initial statement to law enforcement officers that yes, he was there, yes, he in fact left, went to a fast food restaurant, and then returned within about 30 minutes.
Security footage shows Roger leaving the building at 9:34 a.m. and returning at 9:53. Roger is brought to the police station for his official deposition.
Come out of the car, opened the door, and saw her laying there. I called her name, dropped the food, and Just trying to get a response out of her.
Police note something unusual.
I just noticed that you have some scratches on your left side. Yeah.
His statement as to the scratches on his neck are that Marjorie had done that. Earlier in the day, she was sitting in front of him and she was having some cramping with her pregnancy.
I rolled over, just tried to rub her stomach. That way she can play with my head and stuff.
Just breathe. It's gonna be okay.
Her legs went straight and she just burrowed down with her fingernail.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh, these cramps are unbearable.
I said ow and she started to say sorry.
Police photograph Roger's scratches. He then leaves to spend the night at Ron and Barbara's house.
We just brought him home and we sat around the dining room table and tried to console him through this. He constantly had his head down. This was his way of going through shock and dealing with it. He just said,
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Then the next day, a routine autopsy is performed, and what they discover is shocking.
The medical examiner said there was a break in the horn of the thyroid cartilage. And we said, could that ever happen by someone falling down the stairs? He said, absolutely not.
The autopsy showed that there were no natural causes of death, and that it was likely by homicide.
Now it's a murder investigation. But the only person home with Marjorie that morning has an alibi.
We began to look at potential suspects in the case.
She fought back. She's a fighter.
Roger Holland discovers his wife Marjorie, 15 weeks pregnant, dead at the bottom of the stairs. Police learn she died not from the fall, but from strangulation.
Obviously, then we began to look at potential suspects in the case. We did receive some reports of a boyfriend that she had a tumultuous relationship with in the past. However, he was contacted and law enforcement was able to alibi him. In other words, put him at a different time and place at the time of her death. And obviously the person they began to look at was Roger.
The police revisit his story, including the security footage.
So the timeline that he gave us were that he left approximately half an hour.
Roger told police that during that time, he was texting Marjorie about breakfast.
The video indicated that he did not leave the garage residence till 9:34. The text went out at 9:29, which would indicate that he was probably in the building, if not in the residence itself, at the time the text was sent.
When police review the couple's financial records, what they find is alarming.
In the end, we found out that they were $166,000 in debt, mostly credit cards and vehicle leases.
Roger was responsible for nearly all of it.
If you look at the finances, a lot of that was placed into Marjorie's name, not jointly. Their cars were relatively new, they had motorcycles, they were doing a lot of traveling and the like, but it was all built on borrowed money and fake bank accounts and bleeding out their severance pay. The presumed motive in the case was that he had essentially built a house of cards.
Aside from the debts, authorities later learn Roger might have had another reason for wanting her dead, a life insurance policy she took out in Africa.
This is an insurance policy that is common for soldiers that are being deployed overseas. I believe it was $100,000, and obviously he would have been the beneficiary of that insurance policy upon her death.
And then the police make two more startling discoveries. The morning of the murder, Marjorie was looking for any way out possible.
The search on her phone was, how late in a pregnancy can I get an abortion? We were already clear in that house as to how much this baby meant to both of them. So for her to say that, or her to consider that, whether it was known to him or not, is pretty telling of kind of a crisis point in their relationship.
She was traumatized. She was revolted to possibly be carrying a child from a man like that had deceived her so. I don't know if she would have ever carried that out or not. I don't know.
But the clincher is found on Roger's home computer.
They did a history search.
Can you break your neck falling down the stairs? In his mind, he may have thought, this is the perfect way to kill her, and if I stage her at the bottom of the stairs, they'll believe me.
Not only is Roger a suspect, they believe the murder did not happen in the heat of the moment.
He had planned and premeditated her murder.
Roger is interrogated once more, but does not confess.
I can't explain why stuff's not making sense, but I did not do this to my wife. Did not hurt her. Didn't do this.
It doesn't matter.
You're under arrest for the murder of your wife.
The entire story played out in Roger and Marjorie's text messages in the days leading up to the murder.
They had planned to move to Texas, and that was all in the works. She believed it was going to happen within weeks.
But somehow, Marjorie discovers the job in Texas is a fake.
What do you mean we can't get a loan?
They had placed a $10,000 deposit on a residence, and something fell through, likely with the finances and not being able to qualify for the full loan.
She's now realized that he has accessed some of her military severance pay, that he has forged her signature, opened a credit card using her name, which could obviously involve some criminal ramifications.
Roger! Get in here!
Police believe Roger decided there was only one way for him to escape debt and jail time for fraud.
The bank just called.
I told you I would fix this.
Yeah, right. I'll fix you. I'm gonna call the cops.
No, you're not.
He decided today's the day I'm gonna kill her.
The whole world is gonna know who you really are.
It was absolutely a fight. She was fit, she was strong, she was no frail woman. Somewhere between the bedroom upstairs and the floor at the bottom of the stairs, he had to have put his hand around her throat and squeezed her throat until she stopped breathing and the cartilage in her neck was broken. He spent the next half an hour to 2 hours putting together and staging his plan.
I went out to get food.
To convince us that she had died accidentally.
She broke her neck.
He placed a comforter there so that perhaps she tripped over the comforter, tumbled down the stairs. He then accessed her phone, which he had access to the passcode. He set up the text messages, get the breakfast. He would come back and then place the 911 call.
Only 2 days into the investigation, Roger Holland is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, one for Marjorie and one for the unborn Olivia. On December 16, 2013, he is convicted of both murders and sentenced to 2 life terms.
I asked for consecutive sentences for the significance of the termination of my would-have-been-born grandchild.
We actually keep that picture on the wall at home, too, because she's still a part of our life.
It doesn't get any more sociopathic than killing your own child, let alone your spouse. And so Roger is really a frightening example of the extent to which narcissism can reach, where somebody is so totally entitled in their own mind to have whatever it is that they want, that they are willing to eliminate anybody and everybody in their way, including their own offspring.
Roger is trapped, the jig is up, the relationship is a failure, his financial state is in ruin, And his focus at this point is going to be about how do I come out of this the best. He didn't have an emotional connection to that unborn baby. He didn't have an emotional connection to his wife. And so for him, they were collateral damage, and it was time for them to go. Now, one of the things that we know about narcissists is they tend to overestimate their talents and skills. And I believe that's exactly what Roger did here. He concocts a plan, and law enforcement is going to think it was an accident, and he's going to get off scot-free.
He conned everybody, and he was good at it. I would have laid down my life for him without hesitation. But for him to do what he did and have this charade go on, that's just unspeakable. He took away an angel on earth.
Margie gave me a book, Mothers and Daughters, and underlined, and it's my treasure, things that she felt between us and for all mothers and for women. It's just really sad that she was taken for granted and advantage of.
This happens to other people's families. It doesn't happen to us. It hurt 5 years ago, and it hurts now, just like it was yesterday. Except now there's more anger. I think then there was just pain. Now there's more anger. That it still hurts this bad.
Well, with losing Margie, you know, it's hard because you're not going to be able to spend time with her anymore. Losing Olivia is that we never really got to meet her, never got to see her, and never got to raise her and enjoy the time with her and share the world. It's rough.